my great friend from the worldwide leader in sports with the latest on the National Football League and so much more, Adam Schefter. How are you, Adam?
Hello, Rich. First of all, happy 41st anniversary to you, to Jim Craig, to Al Michaels.
Right.
I obviously can remember exactly where I was when all that transpired.
Where were you?
I was in the basement of my house in Belmore, New York, and I think it was a Friday, and obviously, if you remember back then, the game was on tape delay, and
That's right.
social media didn't exist. And so the result had come in, but you didn't know exactly what happened, and ABC, or I think it was ABC, was saving the game to play it later. And what people forget is that wasn't the gold medal game. The gold medal game was Sunday against Finland, I believe.
Yes, that's correct. And it's just like everybody thinks the World Series ended when the ball went through Buckner's legs or Tyree had the game-winning catch in the Super Bowl. These are just big moments that actually didn't win everything. And because you and I have the same childhood, same upbringing, Adam, I was in the basement in Staten Island, New York, of my parents' house.
Yeah.
And my brother, my older brother, knowing it was tape delayed, we turned off all the traffic and weather together radios that my parents always listened to in the house to make sure we did not have the results spoiled because it was tape delayed.
Yeah, no, it was an incredible time. Again, I mean, I could see my surroundings. I could see that dark, dank basement that I was in, the old, beaten-up TV that I watched it on. It was just incredible. It was a lifelong memory to see what transpired that weekend in Lake Placid, and just incredible. I really remember all of it. And obviously, like so many people, we were all mesmerized and fixated by so much that came out, all the books and shows and documentaries. And it's one of those things you can never get enough of. So good for you for getting them on. I also should mention, Rich.
Yes, sir.
That every quarter I get a quarterly royalty check for my unbelievable appearance in The Longest Yard, the movie. It's like $3.33.
Yes, sir.
Comes in every quarter, and I always look forward to my royalty checks to save in my bank account, my piggy bank here.
You've got to Instagram out the next one, Adam. You just do it. Just when you get one of them, just lay it on me, and
every time I get it, I'm like, okay, here's my check for $2.41, and I wonder what Adam Sandler's royalty check.
Dude, I think the same thing whenever I open a CSI Miami for 5 cents. Like, what does David Caruso make? I mean, he only made 3,000 of them. Unbelievable. Oh, man. Thanks for the look, bud. I love, I know you're a busy man all the time, so when you call in February when it's a quiet time, I appreciate it, although it's never a quiet time, obviously, in the NFL.
No, we appreciate the quiet times, Rich, and this seemingly seems to be one, but that can change in a moment's notice in this league. So we'll see.
Well, let's hit on some things that happened last week while I was off, and your comment that I think you made on a radio appearance over the weekend in Philadelphia certainly leapt out at me, where you said that Doug Pederson and Carson Wentz did not speak for anywhere of a period of time of from 8 weeks to 10 weeks. That's the case between those two guys?
Multiple weeks. Again, they communicated, they texted, but I don't think they spoke for a period of time. At least that's how it was relayed to me, right? We are only as good as what we've been told. So
sure.
Somebody told that to me, right? I don't know where they got it from, but look, there was everybody can dress it up however they want and say that everybody was fine with each other. But the truth of the matter is they weren't fine with each other. They just weren't. It just was not a normal relationship the way you'd want your head coach and quarterback to have their relationship. That's the way it is, right? And by the way, Doug Pederson's not there anymore. Carson Wentz isn't there anymore. And it's really remarkable to think that a team and an organization that has had as much success as the Eagles have had in recent years, winning a Super Bowl, winning a division, going to the playoffs, almost getting back to another NFC Championship game. And now, like, these parts have been discarded and just thrown about, and they've moved on from so many of them. It's really incredible how quickly it's all come apart for an organization that has been and has had as much success as the Eagles have had.
So again, I'm wondering where the tension came from, or what is the basis of the tension between Pederson and Wentz. And, discussing it now, I know, the Eagles will say over and over again, as is their right, and usually teams want, that they're turning the page. But the fact that a page needed to be turned at all for a team that's just a couple of years, 3 years removed from winning the Super Bowl, So because the number of times that Pederson took the slings and arrows, standing up in front of the media to say it's still Wentz's job when Wentz was clearly, I guess the best way to put it was off kilter. And the, I guess, less generous way to put it was disintegrating. Where did that come from, the basis of the tension, best you can tell, Adam?
Rich, I think it's a compilation of a number of factors. I think it's hard to know the exact origins, but I would say that I don't know that the selection of Jalen Hurts helped the situation. And it certainly seemed like Carson didn't react to that favorably. And it seems like it was reflected in his level of confidence and in his performance. Now, it's hard for me to imagine that it's just that. Like, how could that be?
Right?
Yeah. But so I'm sure there are many layers to this, many layers, of which I'm not smart enough to know all of them. I just know that they existed. And everybody who watched them knows that there were things there, right? So I don't know that we'll ever get the full truth on that, because I think everybody does want to just move on and go their own way. But there were issues. Carson came apart. It's why they were willing to unload him, and why his value obviously was not what it would have been if they had ever wanted to move on to him, which who would have thought that ever would have been the case when he was competing for an NFL MVP award? Like, the guy went from on top of the NFL world to the Eagles having a shortage of teams interested in him in one of the biggest quarterback buying markets that we'll ever see in an offseason. There was one team that made an offer on him, the Colts.
Adam Schefter here on the Rich Eisen Show. Meanwhile, across state, as you just said about how remarkable a turnaround or disintegration with Wentz and the Eagles was just over a few years span. How about across state, Adam, where the Steelers go from 11-0, last remaining undefeated team in 2020, to last week, where the general manager of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Kevin Colbert, essentially would only allow for Big Ben's future or current state that he's an alive human being who breathes and can fog up a mirror on a contract currently with the Steelers. That was essentially all Colbert would allow, is what it seemed to me. How did you take his comments from last week that there's still miles to go here potentially for Big Ben to continue on with the only franchise he's ever known and won 2 Super Bowls for?
It's so strange, because if they want him back for all that he's done for them and they've done for him, all Kevin Colbert had to say was, he's our quarterback, we've got a lot of work to do, and we'd love to have Ben back. It's amazing, Rich. There are a few things, just general themes that you could apply to any situation. I can't believe how many times somebody's gotten in front of the media since the season ended and said something that left you scratching your head like that. Like, what is that? And also, what's amazing to me is, again, the disintegration of the Eagles. Do you think the franchises in, say, Florham Park, New Jersey, or Cleveland, Ohio, or Miami, Florida, would kill for what the Eagles have done recently? And yet in Philadelphia, they want to destroy people. They want people fired. They want the organization overrun. They want to set it on fire. And in Pittsburgh, it's not entirely dissimilar either. Like, they were 11-0, they were rolling, they were as good as any team in football, and because they looked so horrendous down the stretch, okay, well, maybe it's time to move on. Let's get rid of people. And I just think the league is, the noise surrounding the league is louder than it's ever been. The scrutiny of each organization is greater than it's ever been. The hysteria that surrounds each team is more hysterical than it's ever been. And I think that contributes to some of this. Like, do you think, and I'm just wondering, I don't know the answer to this, if all this had transpired in Philadelphia 15 years ago, would they have run off Carson Wentz? a few years later? Would everybody associated with that Super Bowl win be gone or on the way out? Like, would that have happened? I'm asking you. I don't know.
So let me, I guess, let's pull on this a little bit, Adam Schefter. I think the Brady and victory in Tampa, in which every single person who scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl for the first time was a free agent that wasn't on the team the year before. I think everybody's saying, well, if we make the right moves, we could be 2, 3, 4 moves away from going from 500 or barely being 500 to winning it all. And that's why I think that people are maybe willing to throw the baby out with the bathwater quicker in a league that's already known for that. It's just that this is Big Ben, though. I mean, this is he's basically saying, I'll play for nothing. And they're basically like, well, we got to talk about this cap number. And the cap is going to be contracting due to COVID. Maybe put it all together, and that's what you're talking about.
I guess, and I love honesty, and I love transparency, and I love people talking to the media. That's great. But I don't understand why Kevin Colbert would say that. Now, maybe he was trying to deliver a message. But I don't see the need to do that. I just don't see the need to do that. It could have been so simple as he's meant so much to this organization, and we need to work together to try to figure this out.
Unless they don't want him.
But I don't think that's the case. So, again, we'll see. But, yeah, it's just one more quarterback log on the quarterback fire that's burning brightly this offseason.
Adam Schefter.
It'll keep your show very warm.
I know. Adam Schefter here on the Rich Eisen Show, and your handheld devices very warm as well.
Yes.
So, and then, of course, everything we just mentioned, I think pales in comparison to what's going on with Deshaun Watson. Because we've never seen somebody age 25 sign a big, huge contract like that and then turn around a year later and say, I want out, and there's a new coach and a new general manager coming in. He doesn't even want to talk to them. Where do things stand on that, Adam, as you and I are talking right now?
Yeah, exactly where they've been and exactly where they will be for a little bit of time, which is that the Texans are intent upon not trading him, and he's intent upon not playing for that team again. And so you tell me how that plays out over time and when it reaches a head and when it reaches a crescendo. And I don't know the answer to that. Nobody knows. The Texans could say, hey, we'll sit on you as long as it takes until you come back here. And he could say, I don't really care. I know what I've experienced and I know what I believe about you. I'm not coming back there. Now, we've seen this before with other players, and every player is different. It unfolds different. But we're also living in a different day and age, and I don't know that there's ever been a player as talented as Deshaun in the position he's in that has been willing to go to the mat and go to the distance for the team. So I don't know how that plays itself out. I do know that, in my mind, the first real natural deadline that would come along would be coming up to the draft, because if you are the Texans and you are even open to the idea that you would move on from him, and by the way, they've given no indication so far that is the case. Mm-hmm. All this talk about Deshaun Watson being traded, which, again, we've had, you've had, everybody's had, has been media generated, because we can look into the horizon and see what could be out there, whereas the Texans aren't even looking into the horizon. They are living in the moment.
Yeah, so, they're living in the moment, hoping that their phone buzzes with a text from number 4 saying "Let's chat," and so
and that ain't happening.
So let me ask you this, Adam: has he delivered a list to them that these are the teams I want? Because the number of times he'd love to go to the Jets, no, he wouldn't, or he'd love to go to the Dolphins, no, he actually prefers the Broncos. Does something like that exist?
You know what's funny? I continue to see reports like the Miami Dolphins are interested in Deshaun Watson. Report. And I think to myself, hold on. Let me spell it out to you right now, Rich.
Yes.
Every team in the NFL with a quarterback question is interested in Deshaun Watson. Breaking news, okay?
Right.
You list the teams. The Jets, the Dolphins, the Panthers, the Niners, the Bears. Everyone with a question is interested in Deshaun Watson. Breaking, okay? We can put that to bed, right? Everybody would love to have him. Everybody, including the Houston Texans.
So has he delivered a list to them? Best you know.
I don't know that.
Okay.
I don't know that.
Okay.
I don't know that they're at that level yet. I don't know how Deshaun and his people have decided to navigate this dance in the coming weeks. At some point, I would think that either Deshaun or his representation would go to the Texans and deliver them in the strongest language possible. We are never going to play for your organization again. You might want to trade us. And when you say the list of teams, what I've sensed in talking to various people is that the list of teams is not as short as it would be for somebody like Matthew Stafford or even Carson Wentz who wants to go to Indy. I think Deshaun is pretty wide open on going to a lot of different places as long as that place is not Houston.
Unbelievable. It's just crazy. Last one for you, Adam, before I let you go, sir. Again, the salary cap is expected to be far less than normal times, normal years, non-COVID, et cetera, so on and so forth. Give me some names that might be surprise cuts just because, ordinarily, of course, this player would be on the team. Give me somebody that we might hear go, oh my gosh, I can't believe that person is now a free agent with somebody like, say, J.J. Watt. Give me one.
Rich, we could go through every team, and I don't think it's that hard to come up with some of the names, and many teams, multiple teams you have to do. I don't want to just throw out a name. I think I would just say this, that you are probably looking at one of the biggest, if not the biggest, buyer's market in the history of free agency. Because what you're going to see is the elite players get paid, and obviously there's going to be a lot of rookies that are going to be drafted that are on the minimum contracts. And the middle-class player, the veteran guy who gets released, I think is going to be in a tough spot because that cap is going to have to come from somewhere. And they're not going to compromise on paying a guy like Dak Prescott or Chris Godwin or the elite of the elite that come along every year, that are the top 22 dozen free agents. But that next level, I think it's a very, very tough year to be a free agent. And next year probably will be a tough year to be a free agent. But the goal would be you want to get to about 2023 and have the new TV money kick in and have the cap skyrocket up. And once that happens, it's going to be a great time to be a free agent.
Oh,
not going to be a great time to be a free agent this offseason unless you are an elite talent.
All right, I lied. Last minute for you, Adam. The fact that Drew Brees is not retired yet, is there any there that he might actually be going back and forth on this?
Well, here's the thing on Drew Brees. Last year, he went into the Saints at the Pro Bowl, the coaching staff, and they cried because that was his last game, the Pro Bowl. He was retiring, and then he took some time off, and lo and behold, he came back in March. And by the way, if he hadn't come back, I really believe that there's a chance that Tom Brady would have been the Saints quarterback this year, and he would have been playing in New Orleans. But that's a different story. And so he came back. Now, what is going through his mind once he steps away? There are so many players that plan to retire, want to retire, and then to actually get him to retire, it's not a simple thing. And so I'm not telling you he is coming. I still think he will retire, but I don't think these things are just black and white, like he's ready to just go out the door just yet, even though I think ultimately that will be the decision.
Adam, you the man. Love you. You be well.
Love you, Rich.
Right back at you.
Happy 41.
That's right.
Next time we get to see each other in person, you're spending your royalty check and a cup of coffee from me.
Done. I'll see you soon. You take care, Adam. You're the man. That's Adam Schefter, at Adam Schefter here. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.